Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the news flash on Messager Television with me, Vanessa Long. Let's open this edition in Yaoundé, where John J. Robinson, chargé d'affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon, welcomed Archbishop Andrew Nkeye of Bamenda, president of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon, to the U.S. Embassy in Yaoundé. During their meeting, the chargé and the Archbishop discussed ongoing efforts to promote dialogue, reconciliation, and inclusive engagement as key pathways to addressing long-standing grievances and fostering national unity. The U.S. Embassy reaffirmed its support for Cameroonian-led initiatives aimed at achieving lasting peace, emphasizing that sustained collaboration among religious leaders, communities, and public institutions can help build trust, reduce tensions, and encourage peaceful solutions. Although the meeting may appear largely ceremonial, it is in fact part of a long-standing U.S. commitment to resolving the Anglophone crisis. As early as November 2016, the U.S. Department of State issued a statement calling for dialogue in the English-speaking regions and urging the Cameroonian government to respect fundamental freedoms, one of the first international responses to the emerging crisis. The meeting reflects Washington's quiet but sustained engagement over the past decade, marked by repeated calls for dialogue, diplomatic initiatives, and targeted sanctions aimed at encouraging a peaceful resolutions to the conflicts going on in the northwest and the southwest region of Cameroon. Still in Yaoundé, the Yaoundé Court of First Instance has sentenced Patrick Menge to 6 months in prison for insulting the President of the Republic over a social media post published after the death of Senate President Marcel Nyach Ndifenji. Menge had been arrested on April 13, 2026, just 2 days after publishing the post, which read, "Lord, you are already getting closer to the target. Just one more effort, please." End of quote. Patrick Menge was convicted on Sunday, July 26, by the Yaoundé Court of First Instance. Although the prosecution acknowledged that the president was not explicitly mentioned in the post, it argued that the message was directed at the head of state. The ruling has drawn criticism from his lawyers and human rights defenders, who say the conviction raises concerns about judicial independence and freedom of expression. One of his lawyers, Ivan Batam Nkulong, questioned the independence of the judiciary in the case. He argued that because the charge involved insulted the president, who is also the supreme head of the judiciary, there were legitimate concerns about whether the court could act independently. Human rights advocates also condemned the sentence. Cyril Roland Bechong of the NGO Nouveau Droit de l'Homme described the imprisonment as an attempt to intimidate citizens. According to the organization, the case reflects a broader effort to create fear by using the judicial system to suppress freedom of expression. Let's talk health. Hepatitis remains a major health concern in Cameroon, popularly hepatitis B, with an estimated 8 to 12% of the population living with chronic infection. Hepatitis C also affects thousands of Cameroonians. Yet, many people remain unaware of the status until they develop severe liver complications such as liver cancer. Limited access to screening and treatment, especially in rural communities, continue to hamper efforts to control the disease. Public health experts say increasing awareness and expanding access to affordable testing and care are critical to reduce new infections and saving lives. To address the challenge, the government of Cameroon, via the Ministry of Public Health, with support from the World Health Organization and other partners, have integrated hepatitis B vaccination into the National Immunization Program, strengthened blood safety measures, organized nationwide screening and awareness campaigns, and developed strategic plans aligned with the WHO goal of eliminating viral hepatitis by 2030. Health authorities, however, acknowledge that more remains to be done. They are calling for increased investment in early diagnosis, wider availability of treatment, stronger disease surveillance, and the introduction of timely hepatitis B birth dose vaccination for all newborns. As the world commemorates World Hepatitis Day, the message is clear. Hepatitis is preventable, treatable, and, in many cases, curable. Let's talk economy. Cameroon is importing more than exporting, according to a report by the National Economic and Financial Committee relayed by the Investio Cameroon News website. Data covering the period from January to March 2026 show that the country's hydrocarbon imports increased by 2.5%. During the first quarter of 2026, Cameroon spent 274.3 billion francs CFA on hydrocarbon imports compared with 267.7 billion francs CFA during the same period in 2025. Despite its oil-rich soil, Cameroon is exporting fewer petroleum products. In the first quarter of 2026, petroleum export amounted to CFA francs 152.4 billion, down to 178 billion during the same period in 2025, a decline of 14.4%. Meanwhile, global oil prices have risen sharply. The price of a barrel of Brent crude oil increased from $72.2 in 2025 to $103.7 in 2026. To reverse the trend, both national and international institutions believe there is one key solution: restoring the national oil refinery Sonara, which was severely damaged by a fire in 2019. According to the government, the cost of rehabilitating the refinery is estimated at 700 billion francs CFA. Another option is also emerging: a proposed new refinery project in the south region, which is still in its early pilot stages. And out of Cameroon, Chad has announced its decision to withdraw from the International Criminal Court, a move that comes as the court faces growing criticism from officials in the United States. In a statement released on Monday, Chad's Minister of Foreign Affairs accused the Hague-based tribunal of disproportionately targeting African nations. The government confirmed that it has formally informed the United Nations Secretary-General of its intention to leave the court. The ministry also disclosed that Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Sabre Fadul held a telephone conversation last Thursday with a senior U.S. State Department official. During the discussion, the American official reportedly voiced concerns about the ICC's role and encouraged Chad to reconsider its continued participation in the institution. Earlier this month, on July 13, the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump indicated it was considering measures to encourage other countries to withdraw from the ICC, arguing that the court poses a threat to U.S. sovereignty. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also publicly pledged to work towards dismantling the court in a recent opinion article. Chad's decision follows a similar announcement by Venezuela, which said on Friday that it will also exit the ICC. Venezuelan authorities accused the tribunal of unfairly concentrating its investigations on countries in the global south. Responding to the recent announcements, the ICC spokesperson expressed regret over the withdrawal, stating that leaving the court weakens the international community's shared commitment to ending impunity for the world's most.
Le Messager Télévision, à l'écoute du peuple.